Hello learners, welcome to our channel We Educate. Today I'm here with a new topic, inflation. This topic is one of the most important topic from mains and prelims perspective, as UPSC usually always asks 3 to 5 questions from this topic. So let's move forward and understand what is inflation. Inflation means the rate of increase in prices over a given period of time. The rise in prices means that a unit of currency effectively buys less than it did in prior periods. Let us understand inflation with an example. If I gave you a 100 rupees note in the year 1952 and you kept it hidden under your bed for nearly 70 years, what will happen then? Do you know? If you took it out that note today and use in the market, then the value of that note will have reduced to a mere 1 rupee 20 paisa in comparison to 1952. Let's understand it from another angle. If you buy a mango juice worth 100 rupees today, it will have cost 1 rupees 20 paisa back in 1952. That is, 100 rupees of today is equal to 1 rupees 20 paisa of 1952. It's all because of inflation. Inflation indicates the decrease in the purchasing power of a unit of a country's currency and is measured in percentage. The statement highlighted is the definition given by Webster. An increase in the amount of currency in circulation resulting in a relatively sharp and sudden fall in its value and rise in prices. It may be caused by an increase in the volume of paper money issued or of gold mined, or a relative increase in expenditure, as when the supply of goods fails to meet the demand. In simple words, we can say that inflation means rise in prices. So I think now you got to know what really inflation is. Now, do you know what is deflation? Deflation is the opposite and rare fall in the price index of the basket of items. In the above slides, we will be discussing about the types, causes, and how we can measure inflation. So let's not waste time and move forward to our next slide. Types of inflation. There are three types of inflation: demand pull inflation, cost pull inflation, and built in inflation. Let's discuss it one by one. Demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation is when there is an increase in aggregate demand and the supply remains the same or decreases. Second, cost pull inflation. It occurs when aggregate demand remains the same, but there is a decline in aggregate supply due to external factors that cause a rise in price levels. Here, aggregate means total. Built in inflation. It occurs when workers expect that their wages or salaries to increase when prices of goods and services increase so that they can maintain their living cost. Costful inflation is considered bad among the two types of inflation. This is because the national income is reduced along with the reduction in supply in the cost push type of inflation. Now let's move to the another topic and understand how printing money can cause inflation. Let's take an example. If the number of goods is 1 million and the money supply is $10 million and the average price of goods is 10. For instance, if government prints $10 million more, the money supply doubles. However, the number of goods remains the same, but money supply doubles, that is $20 million, and therefore the price of goods also increased, that is 20. Therefore, inflation occurs. Thus, we can say that printing more money can cause inflation. I think you understood this topic. Now let's move to the another topic. Now let's understand the types of inflation. There are various types of inflation. Let's discuss one by one. Creeping inflation. When the rise in prices is very slow, the rate is 3% per annum or less than 3%. It is simply like a snail or creeper movement. It is called creeping inflation. Next, walking inflation. When the prices rise moderately and the rate is a single digit between 3% to 10%, it is called walking inflation. This inflation is also known as trotting inflation. Next, running inflation. When the rise in prices is rapid, simply like the running of a horse, and the rate is 10% to 20% per annum, it is called running inflation. Next, galloping inflation. In this type of inflation, the digit is double or triple digit, that is 20, 100 or 200% a year. It is called galloping inflation. Hyperinflation. This type of inflation is one of the most important inflation, and it is used to describe rapid, excessive and out of control general price increases in an economy. It is when prices skyrocket more than 50% a month. That is, in hyperinflation, the price increases and it becomes out of control. Stagflation. It is a combination of stagnant economic growth, high unemployment, and high inflation. Next, disinflation. Disinflation is a fall in the inflation rate, that is, the general price level is increasing but at a slower rate. Now let's discuss the graph of types of inflation. The x-axis of this graph denotes year and the y-axis of the graph denotes percentage of the price rise. Since you can see that A denotes creeping inflation, B denotes walking inflation, C denotes running inflation, and D denotes hyperinflation. As you can see in the graph, the slope of hyperinflation is more than that of running inflation, and the slope of running inflation is more than that of walking inflation, and the slope of walking inflation is more than that of creeping inflation. As we know that creeping inflation is a steady rate is an inflation in which the rate increases with a steady rate with a slow rate, and it is less than 3%. And in walking inflation, it is moderate, the rate is moderate and lies between 3 to 10%. In running inflation, it is rapid, the rate is rapid, okay. And in hyperinflation, the rate passes 50% a month. Now let's move to the next topic and discuss how we can measure inflation. Let's understand with a simple method that how can we measure inflation. We can measure inflation by comparing the current prices of goods and services to the base year. Let us consider that we bought 1 liter of milk for rupees 50 at the current time. Exactly 1 year before 1 liter of milk cost us rupees 40. Thus, we can say that there is an increase of rupees 10 per liter of milk, or the purchasing power of rupees 40 has reduced from buying 1 liter of milk to 800 milliliter of milk in 1 year. As you can see the calculation in which we subtract 50 and 40 and divide 40 into 100 is equal to 25. Thus, there is an inflation of 25% in milk prices compared to last year. Generally, inflation is measured in the following three places: at consumer level, at wholesaler level, at producers level. At consumers level, we can measure inflation through consumer price index denoted by CPI. At wholesale level, we can measure inflation through wholesale price index denoted by WPI. And at producers level, we can measure inflation through producers price index denoted by PPI. The point highlighted by yellow color is important, as here we get to know that who measures inflation. In India, the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation measures inflation. Now, let's move to our next topic and discuss how we can measure inflation. The methods by which we can measure inflation are wholesale price index, as we have discussed earlier, consumer price index, producer price index, commodity price index, core price index, GDP deflator. Let's discuss it one by one. Start with wholesale price index. It is estimated by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry and measured on a monthly basis. Second, consumer price index. It is calculated by taking price changes for each item in the predetermined lot of goods and averaging them. Third, producer price index. It is a measure of the average change in the selling prices over time received by domestic producers for their output. Next, commodity price index. In this, there is a fixed weight index or average of selected commodity prices which may be based on spot or future price. Next, core price index. It measures the prices paid by consumers for goods and services without the volatility caused by movements in food and energy prices. It is a way to measure the underlying inflation trends. Next, GDP deflator. It is a measure of general price inflation. I hope you understand that the methods by which one can measure inflation. Now let's move to our next topic. Ways by which government can control inflation. Government do not sit hand by hand. They all have various methods by which they can measure control inflation. But we will discuss here only two measures. First, fiscal measure, and the second, monetary measure. Let's discuss it one by one. Fiscal measure. It is one of the most commonly used measure as it controls inflation by controlling the money supply in the economy. If the government decreases supply of money, then the demand will fall, leading to fall in prices. Next, monetary measures. Monetary policy can control the growth of the demand through an increase in interest rate and a contraction in the real money supply. Monetary measure of controlling the inflation can be either quantitative or qualitative. The qualitative measures involve selective credit control measures, and the quantitative measures of credit control are bank rate policy, open market operations, and variable reserve ratio, by which one can control inflation. Now let's move to our next topic. Effect of inflation on economy. How the economy is affected by inflation. Since the effect of inflation is not distributed evenly in the economy, thus there is chances of hidden costs for different goods and services in the economy. Second point, the purchasing power of a unit currency decreases as the commodities and services gets dearer. Third point, this also impacts the cost of living in a country. When inflation is high, the cost of living gets higher as well, which ultimately leads to a deceleration in economic growth. Fourth, a certain level of inflation is required in the economy to ensure that expenditure is promoted and hoarding money through savings is demotivated. Last, sudden or unpredictable inflation rates are harmful to an overall economy. They lead to market instability and thereby make it difficult for companies to plan a budget for the long term. Now, let's move to the next slide. Now, economic impact of inflation in 2023. This is the report given by Morgan Stanley in the Hindu, and I have made a PPT on this. You can take a screenshot of it and you can incorporate it in your mains answer writing, which will help you to gain more marks more than the others. So read it and take important points from it and incorporate it in your mains answer. Now let's move to our next topic. Frequently asked question related to inflation. Let's discuss some of the frequently asked questions that are asked by students regarding inflation. Who decides inflation rate in India? Do you know who decides? Let's answer it. The amended RBI Act also provides for the inflation target to be set by the Government of India in consultation with the Reserve Bank once in every 5 years. However, the RBI is the authority to control inflation through monetary policies, which it does by increasing bank rates, repo rates, cash reserve ratio, buying dollars, regulating money supply and availability of credit. Next question, why is inflation bad for the economy? Do you really think that inflation is bad for economy? Inflation erodes purchasing power of the people due to sustained increase in prices of goods and services within a period. I hope you understand these questions. Now let's move to our next topic, where we will discuss about the past year question asked related to inflation. As you know that UPSC usually asks questions from this, therefore there are too many questions related to inflation, but we are discussing here only few, and at last I will be giving two mains answer questions related to inflation. Try it and comment your answers below in the comment box. Let's discuss. First question, with reference to the Indian economy, demand pull inflation can be caused or increased by which of the following? First, expansionary policies. Second, fiscal stimulus. Third, inflation indexing wages. Fourth, higher purchasing power. Fifth, rising interest rates. Select the correct answer using the code given below. Option A, 1, 2 and 4 only. Option B, 3, 4 and 5 only. Option C, 1, 2, 3 and 5 only. Option D, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Pause the video and answer the option. Which one is correct according to you? The answer is option A. That is option 1, 2 and 4 only. Question 2. Consider the following statements. Inflation benefits the debtors. Inflation benefits the bondholders. Which of the following statement given above is correct? This question has been asked in UPSC exam 2013. Option A, 1 only. Option B, 2 only. Option C, both 1 and 2. Option D, neither 1 nor 2. Answer is option A. Or question 3. A rapid increase in the rate of inflation is sometimes attributed to the base effect. What is base effect here? This question has been asked in UPSC 2011. Option A. It is the impact of drastic deficiency in supply due to failure of crops. Option B. It is the impact of the surge in demand due to rapid economic growth. Option C. It is the impact of price levels of previous year on the calculation of inflation rate. Option D. None of the statements A, B and C given above is correct in this context. Pause the video and comment your answer. The answer is option C. That is, it is the impact of the price levels of previous year on the calculation of inflation rate. Let's move to the next question. Economic growth is usually coupled with option A, deflation, option B, inflation, option C, stagflation, option D, hyperinflation. Answer is option B. Let's move to the next question. Consider the following statements regarding the measurement of the rate of inflation. The rate of inflation is measured on the basis of the wholesale price index and consumer price index. Second, a price index is a measure of the average level of prices. Third, price index shows the exact price rise or fall in of a single good. Which of the following statement is correct? Option A, 1 only. Option B, 1 and 2 only. Option C, 2 and 3 only. And option D, 1 and 3 only. Pause the video and comment your solution. Answer is option B. Now let's move to the next question. Which of the following mentioned authorities is responsible to measure inflation in India? This question we have already discussed in the above slides. So this question you need to answer. Comment your answer. Option A, Reserve Bank of India. Option B, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Option C, Ministry of Finance. Option D, National Financial Reporting Authority. Pause the video and comment your answer. Answer is option B, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Next question. Which of the following situation contribute to cause the inflation situation in an economy? First, demand-supply gap. Second, excess circulation of money. Third, increased tax rates. Select the correct code. Option A, 1 only. Option B, 1 and 2 only. Option C, 2 and 3 only. Option D, 1 and 3 only. Answer is option B. That is 1 and 2 only. That demand-supply gap and excess circulation of money both cause the inflation situation in an economy. Next question. A situation in which the rate of inflation falls over a period of time is termed as. Pause the video and comment your answer. Option A, disinflation. Option B, deflation. Option C, inflation. Option D, hyperinflation. Answer is option A, disinflation. These are 2 questions given for your practice for means answer writing. I hope you will practice it and comment your answers. Thank you, and I hope now you understand the topic better. Please like, share and subscribe our channel. Comment the topic on which you want the next video.